Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're coming from. Welcome to the March edition of the Lean Enterprise Division's monthly webinar series. We have with us today Jim Ger, who's going to be talking about the path to fellowship in the society.
You can take a screenshot. Here's my contact information. I'm available anytime. You can email me or call me. We can see it. Just a quick bio. I've been a fellow for 25 years now. And the second bullet says I've been an active member leader since 1992. That's probably what I'm most proud of. It's now been 37 years serving the society. It gets in your blood, and this helps you along with your career. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to accomplish today. So here are our learning objectives. First and foremost, we'll talk about what is an ASQ Fellow. Then what? Talk about the benefits of being a fellow. Why would you want to do this? The real guts of it, we'll talk about the eligibility, what's the criteria, the process, and then the timeline. And then we'll end with some helpful resources. I'll give you some hints and pitfalls to avoid. So what is an ASQ Fellow? An ASQ Fellow is just a membership grade. There's student members, professional members, senior members, then fellow. And if you're so lucky, you become an honorary member. There's only about less than 40 of those, but there are about 500 ASQ Fellows. It represents the upper echelon of the quality profession. You'll understand why that is said as we get through the presentation. It is an honor. It is not something you can apply for. It is something you have to be nominated for. And you cannot nominate yourself. So you need other people, your peers, to nominate you for this honor. Lastly, they say being an ASQ Fellow, you serve as a backbone of the society. A lot of ASQ Fellows are on the board of directors. They serve in a lot of different capacities within the society. And actually get there, you have to do a lot of service. So people are applying for fellow, people who are fellow do give back quite a bit to the profession. So you ask yourself, why would I want to become a fellow? There's a lot of time and personal time involved, a lot of sacrifice. I always say it's really a capstone of one's career, and you'll see why as we go through the criteria. It's a professional acknowledgement that you as a quality professional have achieved something. There's a bit of prestige to it. There's an honor here. As you can see below, one of the bullet points is that you get to wear a ribbon at the World Conference. It says fellow. And people will say, when you're at World Conference and you see this fellow ribbon, people will ask, what is a fellow? What was involved about becoming to it? And there's a little bit of an awe factor involved there. Besides that ribbon at World Conference, you'll get a framed certificate. They'll give you a pin at World Conference at the year you become a fellow. The biggest one here is the third bullet. You get a free World Conference registration the year that you become a fellow. Right now, the registration for the World Conference is $1,500. So it's a big value. Right? The free conference registration for $1,500. So the year that you become fellow, you get to enjoy World Conference free of charge. Every year at World Conference, there's an annual luncheon for all the fellows. So the year that you become a fellow at that awards luncheon, you'll be given your pin, get your picture taken with the society chair, and it will be quite an event. And it's a very good luncheon. I enjoy it because now that I've been going so often, I know a lot of the other fellows. It's like a mini reunion. At first, I didn't know anyone. Now I go there and I know quite a bit. So it's just a good chance to reconnect with a lot of your peers. I've already talked about the fellow ribbon. Lastly, there's a fellow directory. So that directory lists all the fellows in the society, provides you their contact information, so you are able to connect with the other fellows. It becomes very handy. When I was the division chair, I ran a conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I ran a conference in Memphis, Tennessee, and I needed to find speakers. I was able to go to the fellow directory, find fellows in those areas, send out a notice, and lo and behold, I got some of them to raise their hand and offer to come speak. It made my job much easier. And you're getting a valuable speaker who's already achieved fellow, so you're getting a good quality speaker, not somebody you never heard of before. Another good little benefit, and that fellow is semi-secret. It stays within the fellow group. So if you're not a fellow, you don't get access to that directory. What does it take to become eligible? So here's what it is. Number one, you have to be an ASQ member in good standings. And all that means is you have to have paid your dues. Number two, you have to have no ethical violations in the past 5 years or no pending ethical violation or investigation. Obviously, you're a fellow. We don't want to have some ethical issues going on. So we have to maintain that. After 5 years, we wipe the slate clean and we'll make you eligible at that point. You need 15 years in the quality profession. You have to have quality related work for 15 years. All right. So you're graduating college at 22, you're eligible in your late 30s. So there's quite a bit of time involved here. All right. And this is just work time. As I mentioned, you have to be nominated by your section, by your division. You can also have the option of being nominated by a fellow or your regional director. Regional directors are responsible for sections, or your segment leader who's responsible for divisions. You need to be nominated by two people. So you have to have two fellows, a regional director and somebody else, two people in your section. And the nominees need to be senior members. You need to be scored across 6 proficiency areas. I'll go through that in just a couple of slides, but we evaluate you across 6 areas, right? And those areas are technical competence, presentations, volunteer service, etc. And I'll go through that in detail in just a bit. There is a minimum score required, and for 5 of the 6 areas, there's a minimum score in that area as well. Lastly, in order to be eligible, you need to have been an ASQ senior member for 60 consecutive months, which is 5 years, immediately prior to your nomination. So the first takeaway from this presentation is if you're not already a senior member, please apply to become one so you can start working on that 5-year requirement. So what is the criteria to become a senior member? It's very simple. You need 10 years professional experience, so you need to have worked for 10 years. We'll take a college degree, we'll give you 4 years credit. So again, if you graduated at 22 years old, worked for 6 years, you're 28, 29, you're now eligible to become a senior member. If you met one of the following 5 criteria. The first one's the most common one, to hold an ASQ certification that requires recertification. So if you're a CQA or CQE, you're in. If you haven't done one of those, you have 4 other options. One of them is to be a senior member in another society, to have worked in a quality-related job for 2 years, done quality-related engineering, inspection, statistical work. So you need 2 years experience in the quality arena. Or lastly, to have taught some quality-related courses. So quite easy to become a senior. Upgrading costs you nothing. You get extra benefits. And all you have to do is send in a 1-page form that says, here's my professional experience. Here's my ASQ cert or one of the others. And you're in and you elevate. So please take advantage of your benefits. This is no extra cost. You get extra bang for your buck. Please jump on to becoming a senior member as soon as possible. Okay. So I talked about proficiency areas. We score you across 6 areas. Those 6 areas are the following: technical competence, which is most easily proven through certification. Occupational responsibility is what is the scope of your job? What have you done through your career? And any time in your career. It can be from day one, 30, 40 years ago, up until now. Thirdly, what have you done in terms of papers, presentations, publications, in order to share your knowledge? As I mentioned, fourthly, you have to be an ASQ member leader. You have to give back to the society in terms of service. We also look at, have you done any other quality-related professional affiliations other than ASQ? And here we're primarily looking at State Quality Award Examiner, Malcolm Baldrige Award Examiner, ISO standards work, TC 176 type stuff. And there's a large variety, but these are the more common ones that we see. And lastly, you need to have done some teaching. You have to go out and actually teach courses. Now you can get a minimum credit teaching for your employer, but to score higher, you have to go out and teach courses for ASQ or some other organization, a local community college or whatnot. One caveat to that, if you're a professional teacher, if you're in academia and you're teaching for a profession, that falls under occupational responsibility. So for you, we'd have to ask you to do some consulting work, and that would be paid consulting work. The asterisk on the bottom says all areas must be quality related. So your technical competency needs to be quality related. Your occupational responsibility has to be quality related. Papers, publications, etc. need to be quality related, etc. That's the criteria. So let's look at the scoring. So there's 6 areas. So 5 out of 6 score you between 0 to 8 points. and you can get a total of 44 maximum points. Other professional affiliations maxes out at 4. I'll explain that in just a second. So why would that be different? So there's 44 total points available. We're going to ask you that just a reminder, professional teachers must teach. Well, professional teachers must consult. All others must teach. And here are the minimum scores required. You must score a total minimum score of 28 points. So 28 or more points will get you in as fellow, provided that you meet the minimums on the different proficiency areas. Technical competence, you need a minimum of 4 points. Occupational is 3 points. Publication is 2 points. ASQ is 4 points. Other areas is 0. And teaching is a minimum of 2 points. Now, the reason other professional affiliations is 0, it's like a bonus category. You don't have to do that, but if you are involved in other professional affiliations, that's great. You'll get credit for that. It's not required. And the reason that only scores a maximum of 4, because this is an ASQ honor. You're becoming an ASQ Fellow. So we're requiring you to do at least equal to work in ASQ. So your minimum for ASQ services is 4 points. The most you can get in other areas is a maximum of 4. So you can't do all your quality related work in some other professional organization. For example, the Statistical Society, and score big there and not do much for ASQ. We want you at least to have a balance there. Have ASQ getting equal time, equal services for other areas. Hence why you only can get a maximum of 4 in other professional affiliations. Let me give you some examples. Okay. Well, note number 2 is important. Note 2 says proficiency areas are not cumulative. And why that means, as you can see here in example A, technical competence, green belt will score 4 points. A CQA will score 5 points. A CQE will score 6 points. Master black belt will get 7 points. We will take the top score only. So if you're a green belt, CQA, CQE, we're not going to give you 15 points. We're going to give you the top, which would be the 6 points for CQE. So as note 2 says, the areas are not cumulative, just the top score. The second item, occupational responsibility. We don't go by title, we go by job scope. I'll give you a title as an example. So an engineer generally scores 3 points. Senior engineer would score 4 points. Manager will get you 5 points. Director will get you 6 points. The VP of a multi-unit corporation will get you 7 points. So it goes by responsibility. How big has your job scope been in your career? And it doesn't have to be the latest one. It can be any time in your career. But it doesn't need to be quality related. For publications, if you do 2 ASQ dinner meetings, you get the minimum 2 points. So go present an ASQ dinner meeting. It has to be 2 presentations, 2 separate, distinct presentations. Can't be the same one over and over again, but that's quickly and easily achieved. If you're an author of a book, you get the maximum 8 points. And there's obviously a sliding scale in there. For ASQ service, you need to be functionally active for 4 years in 2 different committee positions to get your minimum of 4 points. You can accelerate that by being an officer. You can get it done in a shorter period of time, but generally you have to put in 4 to 6 years. I found it most common to see the people getting 6 points for being an officer in their section or division for 6 years. So it'd be 2 years as secretary, 2 years as treasurer, 2 years chair-elect, chair one. It may seem like a lot when you start, but it goes quick. If you're on the board of directors, you'll get 7 points. If you're David Levy, the chair of the society, you'll get 8 points. There's again, a sliding scale here, but we are looking you to be functionally active in several positions over a certain period of time. You notice that functionally active is in highlight or italics. All we're asking that you actually do something. You can't just have a title. You need to be able to provide value. You're in a position for a reason. We've seen it in the past. People have a title and they actually haven't done anything. So we're going to need proof at some point. You had a title. What did you do when you were serving that society? As I already mentioned, other professional affiliations. We talked about being on a U.S. tag or similar committee, being a state quality water examiner, being a water examiner. These are the most common ones we see. Lastly, we're looking for teaching. So if you teach a 16-hour course or 16 one-hour courses for your employer, you'll get the minimum 2 points. To get more than the 2 points, you need to go beyond your employer and go out into the academic world or ASQ world and start teaching classes. So we're looking for 32 hours of ASQ teaching would get you 4 points. And that's not a 32-hour class, it's 32 total hours. So you can do a one-day class 4 times and get that 32 hours. So that's the scoring. That's how it's done. It's actually very simple, but the scores are based on evidence. Without the evidence, you won't get credit. So that's the key takeaway is provide that evidence. Okay, let's talk about the timeline. So right now is a great time. Now is the time to start looking at, am I eligible? Should I be applying for this? Should I be gathering my evidence? So we determine if you're eligible. Hey, we do a quick preliminary score. You can do that with your sponsors. And if they decide, yeah, we get 28 points easy, let's go ahead and prepare a nomination form. The form's a couple of pages. Then you have to gather the evidence to support the credit that you're looking for. That packet's going to headquarters by May 1st. They will do a validation. They will validate, have you been a senior member for 60 plus months? Have you have no violations ethically? And you check all the boxes. If that happens, then you go to the Society Examining Committee. That's the committee responsible for evaluating and scoring each of the nominations, as well as revising ASQ policies with regards to becoming a fellow. There's a committee of 5. Each person will get the packets and they will do an individual score. So they'll score each person for each proficiency area. And then they will send it to the chair of the SEC, the chair of the Society Examining Committee. He will or she will put it all together, do a compilation, and then they'll organize a consensus meeting. And they'll get together and they will scrutinize that to the nth degree. They'll look at each person, each proficiency area, and come to a consensus score. Now, if you had a 4, I had a 5, what was the difference? Did you see that I missed? If you had a 0, I had an 8, what was the difference? Let's talk about that. And then eventually we get to a consensus. It takes a lot of time. Sometimes multiple nights for multiple hours. You imagine you're going through, say you get 20 applications and you're looking at 6 different categories for 20 different people, and you're scoring 60 different areas or 120 different areas, it adds up. And I've seen conversations for one person on one proficiency area be 30 minutes long. I'm just trying to get it right. They really do scrutinize this, and they really do their best to give people all the credit that they deserve, provided that the evidence is there. The SEC will then make your recommendations to the board of directors. These are the people that met the minimums. They got the minimum scores across all areas. We therefore recommend that they become fellow. The board approves it. You'll get announced pretty quickly. Usually at board meetings mid-November, you'll probably be notified before Thanksgiving. So it's a quick, hey, congratulations. Or if you didn't make it, we're sorry. Here's why you didn't make it. And there'll be explanation. In this area, the evidence showed this. Here's what we saw. Here's why we scored it that way. With that announcement, you'll be then invited to attend the World Conference the following May, and you'll receive your pin, get your recognition, and you'll be honored at the Society Awards banquet, fellow luncheon, happens at Sunday afternoon, immediately prior to the World Conference. That's your timeline. Just a couple more slides here. Talk about fellow resources. Number one resource is a nomination form. So you download that form, and I'll tell you, here's the information that we need. And here's our assessment of the candidate. There's also the fellow matrix of requirements. And this matrix of requirements was established to help the SEC, what should I be looking for in terms of evidence for each of the proficiency areas? What would 4 points look like? What would 5 points require? That matrix is available to all the candidates. We publish it, and that is the Bible what we use. So now you're using the same tool as the SEC to look for evidence, how to score, and what would be expected. I will warn you, the matrix is 27, 28 pages long, excruciating detail. You're talking 6 proficiency areas, 8 sections of scores, and it's all there and very much detailed information. The last resource available to you is getting a fellow coach. What do we recommend a coach? Coaches will help you prepare your nomination. They'll clarify the requirements. They'll explain the process. But most important, they will provide you guidance on what evidence is needed and how much is needed. I've just replaced Jim Bossert as the fellow coach coordinator. So you would just contact me and say, Jim, I'm looking for a coach. And I will assign you one. I do it by geographic area. So if you live on the East Coast, you get someone from the Eastern time zone. If you're on the West Coast, you get someone from the Pacific time zone, and we'll help you. The coaches will help you gather that or give you guidance on what evidence should be provided. So contact me if you're looking for a coach. Here's some stats. People with a coach and without a coach. So in 2022, 40% of the people who applied with a coach were successful. 11% without a coach were successful. That's 1 in 9. So there was 9 people that applied that did not utilize a coach. Only 1 of them made it through. The next year, none of the people who didn't have a coach made it through. So you can see the coach success rate is much higher. Then we jump in 2024, and the coaches are getting much better. They've been trained. They've gone through, help them understand what the experience and evidence is needed. And they've gotten very good at telling people, hey, you're not ready. Let's not submit if you don't have that 28 points. So we've seen a greater decrease in amount of people who aren't quite eligible yet. So the success rate is getting better. So 2024, 60% made it through. Last year, 2/3 of the people who applied with the coach were successful versus the people without a coach. And I'll tell you, the last 2 years, people without a coach was just a couple, just 2 people without a coach. Okay, so we'll start wrapping it up. Here's some hints and common pitfalls. Number 1 hint, get a coach. Number 2, as I mentioned, become a senior member as soon as possible. Knock that 5-year requirement out of the way as soon as you can. Third one, this is really important, is start saving. Save any type of evidence you could possibly think of. Save any certificate you earned. Save any thank you letter, any plaque, any type of recognition you received. It all comes back. If you're giving a presentation at a conference, get a copy of the conference program. Get it. Make sure you get acknowledgement of giving a presentation. If you write an article in a magazine, make sure you save a copy of that article. All this is necessary evidence later on. Conversely to that, if you're a member leader, please provide ample thanks and praise. Do not hold back. Utilize ASQ's testimonial awards. Utilize ASQ Member Leader Excellence Award. Provide people as much due recognition as possible. At the end of the year, give them a thank you letter for serving as a committee chair. Give them a certificate. Give them plaques. Give them ample recognition because they're going to need it when they apply for fellow. So you, on the front end, can help other people by doing a lot of recognition in terms of thanks and praise. I personally got to survive early. It helped me. I saved handwritten thank you notes. I've saved everything. And a lot of it came from my recertification packet. I saved all that information and it helped. 4th bullet says, helpful hand is a read. Read the nomination packet, read the matrix. It provides a lot of information. And every year we know who does and doesn't read those, but you can tell. Lastly, as I harped on before, get that objective evidence. You have to have sufficient objective evidence to get that credit. So the common pitfalls, 2 more slides and we're done. Number 1, applicants and nominators have not been reading the criteria. Please take the time to read. They're not following instructions. We ask that you submit each proficiency area in its own folder, right? So you just send a file with 6 different proficiency areas, plus your resume, plus your nomination form. So there's a total of 8 files that we need. Right? Nomination form, resume, 1 for each of the proficiency areas. Number 3rd common pitfall, this is probably the most common one, is lack of objective evidence. Lack of good objective evidence. We've had people not using coaches, not being successful. Number 5 said, let's submit anyway and let's see what happens. I guarantee you, if you're at 27 or 28 points and you're just on the cusp and you just want to see what happens, I guarantee you will not get more points than you yourself have assessed. The Society Examining Committee, I've never seen them score somebody more points than what they thought they earned. If you're just there, maybe you should get a coach to review it and evaluate it and hold off until you're really sure what you're going to get. As I mentioned before, the points in each proficiency area are not cumulative. Every year we get somebody who scores 70 points because they've added up CQE, CQA, black belt, et cetera. They put them all together and think they earned above and beyond what was required. We only take the top score. Number 7, lack of ASQ service. And number 8 is lack of being understanding of functionally active. We've had one example. We had a gentleman who kept submitting year after year an application saying, I was elected secretary of my division. And we kept saying, all right, you were elected. Did you actually serve? What did you do? And he'd come back the next year and say, I was elected the secretary. And that never gave us the proof we needed that person actually fulfilled that role. All it proved that they were elected. It wasn't proving that they had actually been functionally active. They did not provide value. They did not show what they actually accomplished. So we need to not only did you serve in a position, what did you serve? What was the timeline? What did you accomplish? And we need it for each year. If you were a committee chair for 10 years and you want to get 10 years credit, you need to give us for each and every year, not just the first one or the last one. Number 9, not addressing the criteria. We've had people try to just, hey, I'm weak in this area. I'll throw a lot of extra stuff in there and try to throw them off their trail. Believe me, the SEC scrutinizes every application. We dive down and really get into the nitty gritty. Please don't dazzle us with a lot of BS. Number 10, that's a tough one here. The dog ate my homework. We hear a lot of stories. Superstorm Sandy came through, destroyed everything in my house. I did all this stuff, but I never have any copies of it, so I can't prove it. We apologize, we sympathize, and we empathize. However, if there's no objective evidence, we can't give you credit. So you have to go back and somehow recreate it, get people to validate and verify that you did all that you say you did. Without the evidence, you're not going to get credit, regardless of what happened at home, regardless of any natural disasters. Again, we're sorry that happened, but we still need the evidence. We have had people double dipping or trying to get credit in multiple areas. I was a regional counselor for my division, and I went out and did a lot of presentations. Okay, then you get credit for being a regional counselor, but you can't get credit for presentations as a regional counselor. You're doing 2 different things for one thing, but trying to get credit for 2. We've had people say, I've been a liaison for ASQ to such and such of an organization. So they said, all right, I got credit for being a liaison for ASQ, and I want credit for the other service on the other organization. Nope, you get one or the other. We can't give you points for both. We've had people submit a resume only is great. You'll get you 3 points. You'll get the minimum required. You'll get over that hump. You'll meet the minimum requirements. However, you won't score more than 3 points for HR occupational responsibility. You need HR documentation, organizational charts, letters from HR, proof that you actually serve those positions, copies of business cards always help. They prove you had a title and then we'll need an explanation what you did in that occupation. But don't just submit a resume and expect to get more than 3 points. It won't happen. Number 13, doing the same presentation 20 times and expecting credit for 20 presentations. Now, one presentation is only provided for regardless of how many times you've done it. We need 20 different types of presentations. So go back, enhance them, modify them. But if you want credit for more than one presentation, they have to be on different topics. Number 14, we've had people, hey, I was the section chair, I did membership chair, I was my ASQ chair, and I did the scholarship. That's 4 positions. I did that in 1 year, so I get 4 years credit. It's a calendar year. You only served 1 year. You had multiple hats. Thank you for doing that, but we only give you credit for 1 year. So it's 6 calendar years to get 6 calendar years credit. Number 15, lack of understanding of long and outstanding. For ASQ service, we'll give you 8 points credit for long and outstanding service. That means more than 5 years. That's more than 10 years. We're looking at 20 plus years. And an outstanding service is not just your section. You have to serve a division. You have to serve on the medal committee. You have to serve on other ASQ committees. You need to serve on the GCC or TCC. So we're looking for a broad spectrum here. Outstanding service for one member unit won't get you far. And it has to be both long and outstanding. The very last one here, in invoices versus pay stubs for teaching or for consulting work. People like say, here's an invoice for work I had done. Thank you. But an invoice doesn't actually prove you did anything. It just proves that you sent the invoice. What we need is the back end. Do you have a W-2? Do you have any payments received? Can you validate what you did by actually performing that work? Not just saying, I did this. Another common thing that we see is people sending us their presentations. Thank you for sending us a 16-page PowerPoint deck, but doesn't prove you actually did the presentation. It only proves that you created it. We want proof on the back end. Did you actually deliver this presentation? So sending me your presentation doesn't help as much as having a thank you letter or certificate saying so-and-so on this date did this presentation. Those are common pitfalls that people generally fall into. The coaches will help you get through all of that. All right, Manny, what we've done so far is we looked at what an ASQ fellow is. We talked about the benefits. We looked at eligibility, criteria, the process and the timeline. And lastly, we went through helpful resources and some common pitfalls to avoid. So with that, we'll just open up for questions. Thank you for your time and attention today, everybody.
And boy, it does sound challenging. So does that mean that people have to apply generally more than once, or is that only if they're not prepared the first time?
As you saw, we're getting much better. People are making it through on the first time. It's the greater percentage are making it through the first time. That wasn't so in the past. We've really ramped up the coaching in the last few years. Jim Bossert, my predecessor, has really helped with that. We've actually trained the coaches and helped them understand what criteria. The people who know it best, obviously, are people who served on a society examining committee. We know what we look for. So as more of us come off the SEC, the more we can give you that guidance. But if you get that coach or think about what we're looking for, follow the directions that are specified in the matrix, the examples, you'll have good success.
Okay. I can imagine that documenting some of the things that you've done, that people have done, can be a bit of a challenge, because I was thinking myself, section, division, TPC, I've done different things. Fortunately, I have the habit of not deleting my emails, so I probably do have emails that support that. But I can see that if you're an inbox zero person, that might be a problem.
And that's why I'm saying save and save. If you get something, save it. Recreating is difficult. I think the biggest challenge people have is going back to past employers and getting, what have I done here? Especially if the company went out of business. So now we're looking for 2 or 3 letters of verification from former coworkers and former bosses. You do look, hopefully, is on a letterhead. Make sure all letters are dated and signed, all that stuff. That could be the biggest challenge I see, is recreating past employment experience. That's why I said, save your business cards. I may work for a company 20 years ago, but I have that business card. It will show us, hey, he worked for them. He did this role. Now, what was his responsibility then?
Sure. Okay. So could you do me a favor? Just talk about, I know you went through the benefits of being a fellow. What's in it for me? Why should I do this?
I've been a fellow for 25 years. I come to appreciate it much more now, 25 years later, than the day I achieved it. At the time, it was great. I got it. And on to the next thing. Now we're able to look back and say, this was a capstone of my career. It does show you that I am one of the upper echelon in the quality profession. How was that, Jim? I've done numerous presentations. I've done a lot of education. I've done a lot of service. I've done a lot of publishing. The next thing you know, I'm at 60 some odd publications, 80 some odd presentations, giving back. And there's a lot of love when you start doing that. You start people like, oh, thank you so much for sharing this information, or thank you for that presentation. If I go to a conference and do a 1-hour presentation, I was amazed. I did a simple 7 basic quality tools like Pareto charts and histograms, stuff that I've been using my whole career. The room was full. People just never have used that stuff and came in to learn. So there's still a lot of value of giving back and just getting that love from helping people. That's number one. Number two, I do enjoy the annual fellow luncheon, because it's a chance to see some people that become my friends who were initially peers and other volunteers, and now we're connecting on a personal level. It's great seeing them. Not forces it, but it's a good incentive to go back to World Conference. I go back to World Conference and enjoy the conference. And if you've ever been to World Conference, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's 2.5 days, a lot of hoopla, a lot of celebration, a lot of people, great presentations and keynotes, a chance to network with staff, network with other member leaders, visit all the division booths, see vendors. It's just a lot there. Plus, they feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a good.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, I've been to a number of WCQI as well as LSSC, because I'm a CI person. And what I found is the more you get involved, the more you get out of these things. The conferences, the society. So I can see becoming a fellow, especially if you're in that smaller cadre of folks who are recognized as, I don't know if I want to use the word experts, but deeply knowledgeable people with broad experiences. I think that's definitely part of it. Are you suggesting then that, how about the entry point? Okay, so I know people are going to get the presentation, they'll be able to look at it, but I figure always nice to hear it again the second time in like conversation. So how do I get started?
Number one, just give me a call or send me an email, and I will do a quick assessment and say, hey, you're at X amount of points. If you're close, 27, 28 points, we'll take it to the next step. If you're not, I'll give you guidance. I have a gentleman I'm working with. Where do I get writing credit? So I give him contacts both within and external to ASQ, people to contact that will allow you to write. Tell them, hey, if you have the opportunity, get involved with a local section, or come to World Conference and be a presenter, right? If you do one World Conference presentation, you get 3 points, right? The minimum is 2. You get 3 for going for one World Conference. If you do 2, you get 4 points. You do 4, you get 6 points. So you can get a lot of points by presenting at World Conference. Or you can present at the Lean Six Sigma Forum or other section or division conferences and get those points. Not only are you earning the points, but you're giving back as well. So start with me. I'll give you a quick assessment and we'll tell you, hey, you're good. Let's start collecting evidence. I'll get you a coach. They'll walk you through the rest of the process. Or here's some suggestions how to close the gap.
Okay, got it. Now, another thing that you were talking about was the idea that you should be active in your local section as well, right? You said different peer groups, sections, divisions, different committees, that kind of thing. Is that right?
For me, I grew up in the section offered local training. That's how I started. I joined ASQ because I got a discount for being a member. Took the CQE refresher class. As you earn those certifications, you find out, and no one told me until after I passed the exam, that now you got to get RUs. So now I got to start going to meetings. And then I had difficulty getting RUs. If you volunteer, you get RUs. So I started volunteering. And then you get slowly sucked in, right? ASQ will say, hey, and you're doing some meaningful value-added activities and work, meeting some good people. And next thing you know, why do I go to a World Conference and all of a sudden, I meet all these people from divisions and they're looking for help. I'm in telecommunications or in healthcare or in automotive, so I can get involved with those divisions. And your network expands, and now you get more opportunities to meet people and then more opportunities to give back. And it just grows on you, and you can regulate how much you want to do and how often you want to do it. You may start out $2 or 2 hours a month. Maybe later on you're doing it several hours a week. It just depends how much you want to give back and when. Start with either your local section or with something affiliated with your business. If you're in a master black belt or even a green belt or yellow belt, get involved with the Lean Six Sigma division. Get involved with the Six Sigma Forum and start networking with your peers and learning from that and sharing what you have with them.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because one of the things that I have seen recently, we were talking earlier, and I'm of a certain age, and I'm starting to see some of my peers, they're like, oh yeah, I'm retired from work. And inevitably, they end up spending more time working with ASQ. And so some of them now are regional directors and things along those lines.
Yeah, those positions do require a lot of time and effort. So it's probably better to be retired than doing that kind of work than managing a job, having a family and all that stuff. But you learn to balance, right? They always say, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. I raised my hand and I keep raising my hand. And it just, again, I love doing it. So I don't do woodworking. I don't go out and bicycle every day, but I do spend my time giving back. And I'm the chair of 4 different scholarship committees within ASQ, my section and 2 divisions. I'm helping younger people get a scholarship. And it feels real good to be able to give back in that regard.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Jim, because I always think of some of the people like yourselves and some of the other people that I mentioned earlier. I like to think of them as being bridge builders. They're on the back end of their career and they're done. They've made it. And yet what I find is that people like yourself are turning backwards and saying, what can I do to help the next person coming along so they don't stumble through all the same things that I did? And
people have helped me in my career and I can't pay them back, but I can pay it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of it as being a bridge builder. I already crossed the other side, but I'm trying to help other folks. So that's pretty cool.
I view a quality professional as no, I'm in manufacturing. I feel that I am the healthcare professional of my organization. What do? I go out, help people with their issues. I relieve the pain in their life, right? I do a Six Sigma project with them. Inevitably, things get better, right? By getting things better, the pain in their life or the pain in that process has been diminished. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but I do relieve pain. And when I do that, it just results in a big loving hug.
I love that because so many processes are held together with chewing gum, spit, and baling wire. They're really dependent on the people that work in them and their knowledge. So what is it they say? Where does experience come from? Good judgment. But where does good judgment come from? Bad judgment. And that's just, to me, it's like leading with your chin. You shouldn't have to make all the mistakes I make. Learn from me and make your own mistakes, or make different ones at least. Okay, I have another question for you, if that's okay. You were talking about activity at the section level. Now, does that include, say, committee positions, program?
Oh, yeah. So the minimum requirement for ASQ service is 4 years and 2 committee positions. So we ask you to serve on your local conference committee, membership chair, scholarship, social media, my ASQ coordinator. I started out as a newsletter editor. That was my very first position. I was served as newsletter editor, and then the opportunities came. Hey, we need people in advertising. We need people in marketing. We have a conference. Can you help with that? Hey, Jim, can you help with this, that, and the other thing? And eventually I became the section treasurer and vice chair and all that. Same with my division. I started out raising my hand and said, I'll do the scholarship. I'm too busy to do anything else. And 20 some odd years later, that's been 30 years later, I've been the chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary, pretty much had every position. And you learn. I'm not a salesperson, but I've learned a lot about sales, and I learned a little bit about marketing and how to be effective in communicating a conference and doing all that. Organizational skills, project management. ASQ gives you that in a safe environment, right? If you screw up, big deal. You're not going to get fired. Now you're a volunteer, and don't screw up because you work with a team. So it's the great thing about being an ASQ volunteer or a member leader. It lets you work in a safe environment, develop a skill set. That's a real handy avenue to develop your skills, and which will eventually help you back at your job and hopefully with job performance and then result in promotions and whatnot.
I would say that chairing committee or being in a leadership position in a section or division, it's like herding cats, right? You learn a lot, right? You get 3 experts together. There's 5 different opinions about what to do next. So navigating the opinions, the strong opinions that some people have, is certainly a skill worth learning. And it's not like you can say, I'm your boss. No, you're not their boss. It's
you have to learn to lead without the stick, right? There's no stick in volunteer leadership, right? There's only carrots. So you have to learn to manage people, like you said, cats from many different avenues of different working in different places, all trying to obviously give back to society. But as a section or division leader, you have to work on that skill set. How do I keep people engaged? And that's how I go back to the recognition, right? You thank them profusely. You give them recognition. You give them the Member Leader Excellence Award. You utilize ASQ's testimonial awards. You give them plaque. Hey, if you feed them, they'll come. So that's the easy thing. You learn all the tricks of the trade, and then you take that skill set back at work, where you do have the stick as well, but not easy. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. So we do have a question. What about mentoring as an activity? And I know ASQ has a formal mentoring program.
Yep.
But I'm guessing this might be more about informal mentoring.
So an informal mentor wouldn't get you any credit because it doesn't align with anything. It's not a technical competence. It's not occupational responsibility. It's not ASQ service. Now, if you're involved with ASQ's mentoring program, definitely you'll get credit for serving on a mentoring committee and doing that work. So that's where it would apply. But yeah, we need objective evidence. I've mentored this person for so many years and you get a letter from, I think Taylor Lovis is organizing that mentor program. So Taylor would send you, hey, John Doe was a mentor for X amount of years. He mentored so many people. We'll give you credit for that.
Okay, got it. And I do want to emphasize too that at first glance, it may sound like, oh my gosh, that's really a lot. But I'll tell you what, Jim, I've been a member of a number of organizations. And what I found is the more I get involved, the more I get out of it. Like I've joined things and I'll read the email and the newsletter, but nobody knows my name, if I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, then I personally am not interested in maintaining that. ASQ has been different from the get-go, but I was lucky to be in an active section, active division, and one opportunity leads to another. So to me, it's great.
Yeah, I see a question from Jacqueline. She's asking, are the coaches also volunteers? Yeah, all the coaches are ASQ fellows, and they're all member leaders. Chris Hayes is one. She's very active for this division. She also serves on the board of directors. She's a member. Beth Chudney is a fellow. She's on the board of directors. She's a coach. You're not just getting any coach. You're getting some higher level people in society who served and giving back, but they're all member leaders. So yes, the service on certification committees count towards, absolutely. If you serve the society in some way, it counts as service. I always tell people, go to the medal committees. There's 13 medal committees. Each one needs 9 people on it. I think all but one is full or not full. So they all have opportunities. So contact one of the medal committee chairs and say, hey, I'm available to serve on the committee. Do you need me? Get involved with ASQ recertification. Now there's the ethics committee. There's the bylaws committee. There's a lot of different committees and councils available to you to go serve in. And all those count as well. Years of service and the level of position helps. So if you're the chair of a council or chair of a committee, obviously will score higher than just being a member on that committee. But anywhere you serve the society, if you're involved with as a technical reviewer on the Quality Engineering magazine, that counts. It's not just service to a section or a division. It's anywhere within the society.
All right, folks. So that was the end of our webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming in from. And we appreciate you supporting LED webinars, because if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here. Have a great day. Jim, one of the things I'm curious about is you mentioned some of the committees and councils, and because I've been involved, I'm vaguely aware that there's a lot of them. How does anybody find out about them? Because I didn't know there were 13 medal committees.
It's that networking. It's how do you get involved? It's just showing up and meeting people and networking. And you say, oh, I'll talk to Govan, is the chair of the Edwards Medal Committee. And then he asked me, invited me to be on the committee. So I said, sure. Medal committees are great because it's a lot of work in very short time. So the month of October, they'll send you a bunch of applications to review. You've done it. Now by November 10th, you're done and you're on. So you 1.5 RUs for, like I said, doing a lot of work in a short period of time. How you get involved with other councils? Again, you're networking. If you're involved with the regional councilors,